My beloved brother and sisters, sometimes we walk through life carrying a heaviness we can't name. The heart feels restless, the mind races, and even in a room full of people, we feel alone. We scroll, we search, we chase after something that can quiet the noise inside, but nothing truly settles the soul. That's because the soul is not fed by what the world gives, it's fed by remembrance. It's fed by Dhikr. And there are moments when a single remembrance, a single word of the heart, can shift your entire state, can lift you from darkness to light, from chaos to calm. Today, I want to remind you of 3 Dhikr so powerful, they can change your life instantly. Not because the words are magic, but because the one you remember through them is the source of all peace, all healing, all strength. There are moments in life when the heart feels empty, when the soul feels heavy, and when no amount of worldly comfort can fill the silence inside us. In those moments, it is not distraction that heals, nor is it escape that saves us. It is remembrance. Remembrance of the one who created our hearts, the one who hears what no one else can, and the one who understands our silence better than our words. Dhikr, remembrance of Allah, is not merely a ritual, it is oxygen for the soul. It is what revives the heart when it's drowning in the noise of the world. There are countless words of remembrance, but among them are 3 that have the power to change your life instantly, because they don't only move your tongue, they transform your heart. The first is SubhanAllah, glory be to Allah. When you say SubhanAllah, you are declaring that Allah is free from all imperfection, that He is beyond any limitation your mind can imagine. You are reminding yourself that the one who created the heavens and the earth is in control of your smallest worries. Saying SubhanAllah lifts you above the weight of your circumstances because it shifts your gaze from the problem to the perfection of the one who can solve it. It's not just a phrase, it's a realignment of the heart. When life feels messy, when people disappoint you, when the world seems unfair, SubhanAllah is a reminder that Allah's plan is flawless even when it looks chaotic to you. The second Dhikr is Alhamdulillah. All praise is for Allah. This simple word can transform despair into peace. Because the moment you start thanking Allah, even for the little things, the breath you take, the heartbeat that never stops, the sunlight after a long night, you begin to see that blessings were never missing, only your awareness of them was. Gratitude in Dhikr doesn't just make you more positive, it anchors your heart in trust. It reminds you that Allah has always given, always cared, always seen. When you say Alhamdulillah in hardship, you are saying, even now, I know there is goodness here, and that mindset changes everything. The third Dhikr is Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest. It is the call of liberation. Because when you truly believe Allah is greater than your fear, greater than your loss, greater than your desires, greater than your enemies, then nothing can enslave you. Every anxiety, every temptation, every heartbreak loses power over you. Allahu Akbar is not only for prayer, it is for every moment you need courage to choose faith over fear. These 3 Dhikr, SubhanAllah, Alhamdulillah, and Allahu Akbar, together form a complete circle of remembrance. One purifies your perception, one fills your heart with gratitude, and one strengthens your spirit. The Prophet I said that these words are more beloved to Allah than anything else. And they are light on the tongue, but heavy on the scale. The beauty of Dhikr is that it doesn't require wealth, status, or perfect circumstances. It only requires presence. The power of these words lies not in their sound, but in their sincerity. You could say them 1,000 times without change, or say them once with awareness and feel your whole being shift. Dhikr is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, between your weakness and His power. When you wake up, say them. When you are afraid, say them. When you feel lost, say them. Because each time you remember him, he remembers you. And that remembrance changes everything. It changes your heart before it changes your life. And once the heart changes, the entire world looks different. The power of Dhikr is not in repetition, but in reflection. You can let the tongue move 1,000 times, but if the heart remains distant, the words float away like smoke. They rise, but they never reach. True Dhikr is when every word becomes a bridge between your soul and your Creator. It's not how many times you say it, but how deeply you mean it. When you sit in remembrance, you are not performing a duty. You are answering an invitation. Allah doesn't need our remembrance. We do. We are the ones who forget, who drift, who get lost in the illusions of control. Dhikr is what brings us back. It is a return to the truth that there is no power, no strength, no peace except with Allah. When you say SubhanAllah, let your heart travel to the sky and witness his perfection in every detail. The colors of dawn, the quiet of rain, the precision of creation. When you say Alhamdulillah, let your eyes fall upon your blessings, the ones you never noticed, the air that fills your lungs without effort, the moments of protection you never saw, in the times Allah turned harm away before it reached you. And when you say Allahu Akbar, let your soul stand tall, knowing that nothing is greater than the one who holds you. Reflection gives life to remembrance. Without it, words lose meaning. With it, they become light. In a world that moves fast, Dhikr teaches you to slow down. It teaches you to feel. It teaches you that silence can be sacred when it's filled with his name. Reflection turns a routine into worship. It takes you from counting beads to counting blessings. Think of a person sitting in prayer, repeating Alhamdulillah. If they're only counting numbers, their tongue moves, but their heart is asleep. But if they pause and truly reflect, Wa Allah, you gave me life today, you gave me safety, you gave me faith, then even one word becomes a river that washes away anxiety. That is the secret of Dhikr with reflection. It doesn't just fill your tongue, it fills your being. When the Prophet described those who remember Allah often, he didn't praise their numbers, he praised their hearts. Because remembrance that touches the heart changes the person. It softens arrogance, it dissolves bitterness, and it brings clarity to confusion. In Dhikr with reflection doesn't require long hours or perfect words. It only requires awareness. The best Dhikr is the one done with presence, the kind where you know who you are speaking to. The heart that reflects during Dhikr feels the presence of Allah as close as the pulse beneath its skin. And that presence transforms everything. It turns loneliness into companionship, fear into trust, and chaos into calm. When reflection enters Dhikr, your world begins to realign. You start to see purpose where you once saw pain. You begin to understand that every delay, every closed door, every heartbreak carried a hidden mercy. You stop seeing Dhikr as a way to escape problems and start seeing it as the key to understanding them. Because remembrance doesn't erase the storms of life. It gives you the strength to walk through them without drowning. Reflection teaches you that remembrance is not a transaction. It's a relationship. You don't say SubhanAllah to earn points. You say it to reconnect. You don't say Alhamdulillah to pretend everything is perfect. You say it to remind yourself that Allah's wisdom is perfect. You don't say Allahu Akbar to announce something to others. You say it to anchor your own heart in the truth that Allah is greater than all your fears. Reflective Dhikr changes your spiritual vision. You start to see signs of Allah everywhere, in the quiet moments, in the laughter of children, in the tears that fall when no one is watching. You realize that remembrance is not limited to the prayer mat, it's a way of living. Every act of kindness, every breath of patience. In every whisper of gratitude becomes Dhikr when done with awareness of Allah. That is when remembrance stops being something you do and becomes something you are. The more you reflect, the more you begin to feel that Dhikr is not only remembrance of Allah, it is also Allah's remembrance of you. For when you turn your heart toward Him, He turns His mercy toward you. And what greater peace could there be than knowing that the Lord of the worlds remembers you by name? That is the essence of reflective Dhikr. It awakens love. It makes you realize that every beat of your heart was meant to say His name, and every hardship was meant to bring you back to Him. The true power of Dhikr then is not in how often you say it, but in how deeply you let it reach your soul. The heart finds peace not through control, but through surrender. We live in a world that glorifies control. Control over time, over people, over outcomes. We are taught to plan every detail, to predict every possibility, to hold tightly to what we want, as if life itself would collapse if we let go. But the more we cling, the heavier our hearts become. We start believing that peace will come when everything finally goes our way, when every door opens, when every prayer is answered exactly as we imagine. Yet true peace doesn't come from having control. It comes from trusting the one who already controls everything. Surrender is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the understanding that your strength is not enough, but Allah's mercy is. When you stop fighting to control what was never yours, your soul finally exhales. Remembrance teaches this surrender. Every time you say Allahu Akbar, you're not only declaring that Allah is the greatest, you're reminding yourself that you don't have to be. You don't have to carry the universe on your shoulders. You don't have to understand every reason behind every pain. You don't have to know the how or the when, because you trust the one who does. The heart that surrenders through Dhikr becomes light. It is no longer burdened by what ifs and if-onlys. It is content, not because life is perfect, but because the one who manages life is perfect. Control is rooted in fear, the fear of losing, of failing, of being left behind. But surrender is rooted in love, the love that says, I know you will never wrong me, even if I don't understand your plan. When the heart reaches this state, even storms feel sacred. Even tears become prayers, because surrender transforms pain into purpose. You no longer ask, why me? But what are you teaching me? And that shift changes everything. You begin to see that every delay was a protection, every loss was a redirection, every hardship was a lesson written by a loving hand. There's a kind of beauty that only surrender can bring, the beauty of calm in chaos. When everyone around you is panicking, the one who remembers Allah remains still, because they know my Lord is near. Dhikr anchors the heart in that nearness. Every SubhanAllah strips away the illusion of control. Every Alhamdulillah replaces anxiety with gratitude. Every Allahu Akbar reminds you that there is no force greater than Him. Surrender doesn't mean giving up effort. It means giving up obsession. It means doing your part while trusting Allah with the result. It means tying your camel as the Prophet I've taught, but knowing that the rope itself only holds because He wills it to. When the heart truly surrenders, it finds peace even in uncertainty, because uncertainty no longer feels like a threat. It feels like an opportunity to witness Allah's wisdom unfold. You begin to rest in His decree, knowing that whatever was written for you will never miss you, and whatever wasn't meant for you will never reach you. This is not resignation, it's liberation. It's freedom from the constant struggle of trying to control what was never yours to control. Think about the ocean. The waves rise and fall, but the depth of the sea remains calm. The believer's heart is like that when it remembers Allah. It may face waves on the surface, but deep within, there is peace. That peace doesn't come from changing the waves. It comes from knowing the one who commands them. This is the gift of surrender. When you surrender through Dhikr, you are not saying, I give up. You are saying, I give in. To you, my Lord. And that giving in is where peace begins. So many of us live tired, not because our bodies are weak, but because our hearts are constantly wrestling with what we can't control. We carry burdens that were never ours to bear, trying to fix everything, save everyone, and plan every outcome. But Allah never asked us to carry that. He asked us to trust Him. Dhikr reminds us that surrender is the truest act of faith. Every time you say His name, you're unclenching your heart, releasing the grip of fear, and allowing His will to flow through your life. Peace doesn't come when life gets easier. Peace comes when faith gets deeper. When you remember Allah, the noise fades. The heart softens. You start realizing that the most powerful place to be is in submission. The kind of peace that surrender brings cannot be taken by any storm, cannot be shaken by any trial, because it's rooted in something eternal. The heart that surrenders becomes untouchable, not because it avoids pain, but because it's anchored in divine trust. So let go, not because you're weak but because you are wise enough to know that He is in control. Say Allahu Akbar and remind yourself that His plan is greater than your fear. Say Alhamdulillah and find gratitude even in the unknown. Say SubhanAllah and marvel at the perfection behind what you once called imperfect. In surrender, you don't lose yourself, you finally find yourself, resting in the peace that only remembrance can bring. Gratitude transforms pain into perspective. There are moments in life when the heart feels broken beyond repair, when prayers go unanswered, when dreams collapse, when people you trusted walk away. In those moments, it's easy to believe that pain has no purpose, that loss is simply loss. But the believer who remembers Allah knows that gratitude has the power to turn wounds into wisdom. Gratitude doesn't mean pretending that everything is fine. It means recognizing that even within your trials, there is mercy you cannot yet see. When you say Alhamdulillah through tears, you are not denying your pain. You are declaring your faith. You are saying, why Allah, even in this, I know there is goodness. That simple shift in perspective doesn't erase the pain, but it gives it meaning. Gratitude is not only for moments of joy, it's most powerful in moments of difficulty. Anyone can thank Allah when life is easy, but it is the heart that says Alhamdulillah in hardship that truly understands faith. Gratitude in ease is appreciation. Gratitude in hardship is surrender, and surrender opens the door to peace. When you choose to thank Allah even when your plans fall apart, you are silently saying, I trust that yours are better. Gratitude transforms what breaks you into what builds you. It turns a test into a teacher. It turns what feels like loss into a lesson that draws you closer to Allah. Think about how the Quran often pairs remembrance with gratitude. Remember me and I will remember you, and be grateful to me and do not deny me. Because remembrance without gratitude becomes routine, but gratitude within remembrance becomes light. Every time you say Alhamdulillah, it's as if you are polishing the mirror of your heart so it can reflect divine wisdom more clearly. You begin to see that even the things that hurt you carried hidden blessings. The pain that pushed you to pray, the disappointment that brought you humility, the waiting that taught you patience. All of them were gifts disguised as trials. Ingratitude helps you see that nothing is wasted in Allah's design. Gratitude doesn't blind you to what is missing. It opens your eyes to what remains. The breath you just took, the heartbeat within you, the faith that still whispers hope when everything feels lost. These are not small things. These are miracles that people forget to count. When the heart learns to say Alhamdulillah sincerely, even the smallest blessings become reasons to smile. You stop chasing what you don't have and start cherishing what you do. You begin to live lighter because you no longer measure life by what went wrong, but by how often Allah's mercy showed up. There is a secret power in gratitude. It changes your energy, your thoughts, your outlook, and your prayers. A grateful heart prays differently. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? It asks, what are you teaching me through this? Instead of focusing on what is missing, it notices what is still here. And that awareness invites more mercy into your life. Because Allah promises, if you are grateful, I will increase you. Gratitude multiplies blessings because it makes room in your heart for them. When your heart is filled with complaint, there is no space for joy. But when your heart fills with gratitude, it attracts contentment. Even in the midst of struggle, even the act of breathing can be Dhikr if done with gratitude. Every inhale, a reminder of Allah's mercy. Every exhale, a chance to say Alhamdulillah. When you practice this kind of remembrance, your life becomes a continuous conversation with your Creator. You no longer wait for big moments to thank Him. You thank Him in the quiet, in the ordinary, in the overlooked. Gratitude turns the mundane into sacred moments. Washing your hands becomes a reminder of purity. Eating a meal becomes a moment of reflection on provision. Waking up in the morning becomes a silent acknowledgement that you were given another chance. Sometimes gratitude requires effort. It's a discipline of the soul. Because in the beginning, your pain will speak louder than your faith. But if you keep saying Alhamdulillah, even when your voice trembles, something begins to change inside you. Your heart becomes softer, stronger, and more peaceful. You start realizing that gratitude doesn't mean being happy all the time. It means being anchored in trust, no matter the storm. Ingratitude is what steadies the believer's heart when everything else feels uncertain. The more grateful you become, the more your perspective changes. You begin to see Allah's wisdom not as distant or abstract, but as personal and near. Gratitude is not about denying your struggles. It's about seeing the hand of Allah guiding you through them. It's about saying, I may not understand this now, but I trust that one day I will look back and say Alhamdulillah for what I once cried over. That is the transformation of the heart that gratitude brings. It doesn't remove the tests, it redeems them. And so, when the world feels dark, light a candle of remembrance with Alhamdulillah. When your heart feels broken, whisper it softly until your tears turn to peace. Because every moment you choose gratitude, you rise above pain and move closer to Allah. Gratitude doesn't just change your mood, it changes your soul. It takes you from surviving to living, from complaining to contentment, from fear to faith. And that is how it transforms pain into perspective, and perspective into peace.